Hey everybody, welcome to the saddest episode that I'll record this year. It's the one after Duke loses out of the tournament. I always say the worst day of the year of like sports days. Obviously, there's other stuff that happened in like real life, but as far as sports days, Saturday's about as rough as it gets, especially with how it went down. Obviously, national championship has already happened. Congratulations to Florida for beating Houston in the final. So Gators are now, I think, three-time champs, going back to 2007, 2008, and they went back-to-back, so now add 2025 to that. Going into the game on Saturday, and I'm still going to say this, I was going to do a video about being a spoiled sports fan, and I still am. Probably took for granted for a long time those 5 national championships and just how dang expletive hard it is to win those championships. It takes, as we saw, a bad 50 seconds for stuff to go awry and and all of a sudden you are out and done, and you left thinking, if not this year, then when, and all this kind of stuff. That being said, Coach K's first season at Duke was 5 years before I was born, and he was the coach there all the way up until 2022, at which point I was 35 years old. We had a unbelievable, phenomenally successful coach for 35 years of my life. And then Coach Scheyer is the next coach, and I firmly believe he is the guy. I don't think he's going to go anywhere anytime soon, but very possibly he could. But with all the changing landscape and all that kind of stuff, but I think his home is in Durham, and I think his family life is in Durham, and I don't think he's going anywhere, barring somebody just giving him a bag and going to the NBA or something like that. So I will have him for the next 15, 20, 25 years. That'll take me all the way up to, 50, 55, 60, 65 years with 2 coaches at Duke. And I fully believe Scheyer will get, at least one championship somewhere along the way. Who knows? You see all these other programs that, like Nebraska in football or whoever else, that never reached that peak again. But I really think Scheyer's the guy. He had tough moments on Saturday. I did not think it was his best job, but still growing pains in his 3rd season as a head coach. And I think he'll get better from it from there. I know this is my critique of, let me get back to being a sports fan, and then we'll give my thoughts on the actual game on Saturday. I will go basically a lot of my life with having 2 coaches, never having to go through like that crazy coaching search like what Carolina had to go through before they found Roy, and now Hubert, who honestly I hope gets it somewhat turned around, gets it going at Carolina. Not even turned around, gets it going at Carolina. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's a good guy for the job. I think the GM will help there. I've worked for the Dodgers since 2013. All we've done there is win every division championship but one. Say what you want about 2020, but let's just do straight numbers. Forget about arguments and all that kind of stuff. 2 World Series. Not really had to deal with a losing season there, and like a bad environment or like a sour fan base or sour control room, what have you. It's been solid winning from there. Before I worked for the Dodgers, when I was growing up, I was an Astros fan, so it wouldn't have been much different if I had stayed an Astros fan, because they've had a pretty good stretch here as well. I switched because I started working for the Dodgers. Astros switched leagues, which at the time meant something, going from the American League to the National League. And they also were pretty putrid around 2010, 2011, 2012. So started working for the Dodgers, catch the fever, and like I said, pretty spoiled on the baseball front when it comes to being a fan. I'm also a Cowboy fan. Last Super Bowl was in the mid-'90s. I get it. one day I'll tell on here the story of why I don't have my heart in the Cowboys anymore. Still root for them, but definitely they're third on the list of teams that I care about. But yeah, been tough 30 years for the Cowboys. All right, whatever, that's fine. When it comes to the teams, especially Duke and the Dodgers, it's been incredible. And like I said, I'm a spoiled sports fan, and I think it's crazy how hard it is to win the whole thing. As far as Saturday goes, I think losing in the Elite Eight like we did against NC State last year, or the semifinal like we did this year, those are the worst rounds to lose in. If you lose in the national championship, all right, you get beat by a better, that team had a better night, whatever. Like that, you can kind of handle that, But you lose in the Elite Eight, like against NC State, or you lose on Saturday, the semifinal, you're just left with the possibilities. And losing to Houston after knowing we're the better, like you still know that we're the better team, you're just left with the possibilities of and you look at the Florida game and you're like, I'm not the most optimistic fan. Really think it wouldn't have been that close a game against Florida. They have a little bit of the same DNA as Houston does as far as never really going away or anything like that in the game, but especially after the kind of game we would have had against Houston if we would have pulled that one out, I really don't think it would have been a close one in the championship against Florida. Same against NC State last year. You're like, man, if we pull that out, you look at the Final Four teams last year, it's hard to, I think we would have had a really good chance last year in 2022. 2023 lost to Tennessee in what was a glorified football game, the way that game was played. That was in either Sweet 16 or Elite 8, but it just felt like that was a tough game for Duke to win. We went into that game, did not have Mark Mitchell, who was the best player equipped to deal with that kind of style that Tennessee played and plays, the kind of rough and tumble style that Tennessee plays. And then in 2022, ran to Carolina in the Final Four, obviously a big bugaboo team that year, and you're just and they go in and get nailed by Kansas in the championship. You're just looking at the Carolina game, you're like, God, it's just this one dang team. If we get past them, I really, again, feel like it would not have been a very close game against Kansas in the championship in 2022. We had Banchero that year. That was a Banchero year. No more pick of the draft. Talent around him as well. And you're just left with thinking of possibilities, And you're also left with you have to watch the rest of the tournament thinking, that could have been you. Instead of who ends up winning it. You lose in the first week and you're like, all right, fine, we didn't have it. All right, losing the first round. First round for Duke's probably going to be embarrassing, but at least you're like, well, probably weren't going to go all the way anyway if you lose in the first round or the second round. Even really in the Sweet 16. But again, you lose in the Elite Eight, you lose in the semifinal game. You're like, God, we really feel like had a real good chance of winning it. And Houston probably feels that same way, though, the way that game played out. But they also kind of know the mistakes they made, just like Duke does on that Saturday game. Saturday game against Houston, one field goal in the last 10.5 minutes. Yet still up 9 with 2:14 to go. And I think the scoreboard kind of fooled Shire into how the game was going. Probably should have put in a little more offensive firepower at some point to try to stretch the game a little further out instead of just trying to get to triple zeros. Put in Isaiah Evans. Probably would have put Proctor on the bench for a little bit. He was, once he started pass up open threes, take him out for at least a little bit, try to get him to reset, because his confidence was not coming back without coming out of the game. And in the end, probably either should be inbounding or shouldn't be in the game at all towards the end of the game. I like Proctor. I hope he comes back. But again, that's the way I kind of saw that one. The 2 points he had from the field were ones that were on a bank shot from the free throw line, pull up, a shot that he normally just absolutely swishes and drains, and ended up banking in. And those were his 2 points. Otherwise, he did not have it from three-point range like he normally does. And so, again, once he started passing up shots like that, you got to take him out for a little bit, let him catch a reset. And, again, I think the fact that the game stayed at like 6, 7, 8, 9 points kind of fooled the bench into thinking like we're okay, as opposed to, again, put in Evans, put in Foster, changed up a little bit at the 5-6 minute mark, try to stretch it back out to double digits even further with a little different offensive attack. You never know. Evans hits a couple and then opens up stuff on the inside. So from then forward, from the 2 minute mark on, it just felt like an avalanche. Cooper hit the 3 to put us up 9, 2:14 to go. I let out a little sigh of relief. Shouldn't have. And then the inbound stuff, great move by Sampson to play that out, by the way, instead of fouling when we inbounded with a 5-point game with 50 seconds to go or whatever it was. Played it out, got the stop, come down, hit a 3. All of a sudden, like the 3-point game, that was after the technical foul on the inbound, stripping the inbounder. Which, if that was an on-purpose move, I mean, well done. Come down, hit the 3. It's a 3-point game with 33 seconds to go. And I told my wife at the time, watching the game, seeing I was going nowhere in the 1-and-1, I was like, I'll take overtime right now. Inbounding up 3, I was like, I'll take overtime right now. And just kind of could see the script that was happening at the time. They're struggling to get an inbound. You knew that. And then Sion just had a tough time. I hate the play. You're running full speed towards your opposite baseline. You have to come to a stop, avoid traveling. You have a guy on your back who's putting pressure on you as well. It's just going to be a tough catch to make. Then you're going to get trapped after that. And so then if it's a turnover, it's a scramble situation. You got to find shooters. Then you got to find box out assignments. Neither of those happened. Give up open 3, they miss. But again, because nobody has box out assignments in a scramble situation, put back dunk, all of a sudden it's a 1-point game, and you see the way it's going. Inbound to Proctor, same situation as the Carolina game, misses the front end of a 1-and-1. We got away with it against Carolina in the ACC tournament. Did not happen this time. This is where we talk about the officiating. Hate the call, over the back, flat-footed over the back call with Cooper Flagg. If that's not called, or if it's called the other way with the guy hooking him, then it's complete. Then it's a different ball game. That did not happen. So then Houston gets to go to the line without having to make a defended shot. Granted, it's a 65% free throw shooter that went to the line. Credit to him. Nails at the line, hits both of them. I think they were in the double bonus at that time. But yeah, he hits both of them, put them up 1. And again, all this is happening. I know your instinct as a coach, you're just like, just give me the triple zeros and get this thing over with. Just give me the triple zeros. And you want the time to move as fast as it can to get triple zeros. And what actually has to happen is you have to slow everything down for your players because they're feeling it too. They're feeling it snowball. They're feeling it avalanche. And so what I think has to happen, again, what do I know? I think you have to be substituting at every whistle. Anybody but Flagg and Knipple, substitute every whistle. Just try to slow everything down so it's not such. Also, I think there was only one review in that time, and that was one that was pretty obviously, that was only inbound, that was obviously off of Houston. And so that's why Sion was stuck, wasn't able to run the baseline. So you did not get that chance to catch a breath. It was just constant pressure on you. So again, I think at every whistle, have to use a substitute however you can get it in. Slow everything down, starting at that 1 minute. Honestly, again, it's hindsight. Start fouling so they don't hit threes, But that, you get a foul call on the rebound or a free throw. Who knows how many times that gets called when they're shooting free throws. But yeah, I just think you got to slow everything down at that point. And then flag shot. Shire's telling him it's your time, and it was his time. I'm also telling him at that point, because Houston's, they got a little bit of freak out too. As you saw against Florida, I think you got to tell them, get to your spot, pump fake, get them up in the air before you take your shots. Flag has a beautiful little step through game. Instead, he went for the straight fadeaway jumper off the front iron, and that's basically ball game. At the end of the game, it wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't probably make a difference. I don't like the full court throw. I know it worked with the Laettner play in '92. I don't like the full court throw. I think he had 3.5 seconds to go. I'd rather thrown it in, get it a third of the way into the court, take your couple dribbles and take your shot rather than the way it played out that way. But again, that's all in hindsight. But yeah, I remember telling my wife 32 seconds to go, inbounding the ball. I'd take overtime right then, get the reset, slow everything down. Didn't happen. Houston comes away with the win. And probably, most likely, 99%, the end of Flag, Knipples, and Malawatch's careers, even though somehow Duke is the favorite for next year's, even though as far as I know, we only have for sure 3 players, which is the recruiting class, that are coming back. Everybody else, we don't know if it's transfer portal or NBA for Proctor, Isaiah Evans, Gungba, all those guys. Gillis and Sion James are done. But we don't know if any of those other guys come back. The only ones we do know are the Boozer twins and the number 21 ranked player, I think, the 5-star shooter, 4 or 5-star shooter, that's coming in as well. That's the only 3 players that we know is on our team. Somehow we're plus 1,000, the betting favorite to be national championship next year. So maybe Vegas knows something that I do not. Obviously, there's with the recruiting class coming in, only 3 players. There is room for a surprise comeback, and holding out hope, not too much, but holding out hope that 1, 2, or 3 of those guys comes back to play. But again, I would not expect it because of the aforementioned what we've talked about a couple videos ago with delaying the time you get to the extension, the second contract, where the real money is made. Just because he's Flag or Knipple or Malawatch is going to make up for it with NIL money. You just can't delay that, especially probably more likely for Malawatch and Knipple. You can't delay that second contract by another year in the NBA because that's where your real money's made. But yeah, rough Saturday, rough Sunday. And then I was calling LMU weekend series against Pacific. LMU was up 7 going into the 9th, gave up 10 runs in the 9th to lose 14-11. So just really felt like I could not get that. I call it loser stench off of me, but that's a little harsher than what it sounds, or what I mean it to sound. So that happened, and just rough couple days, but do it back again. I have full confidence in Shire. It's a learning process. Just gotta figure out when things aren't going your way, when the scoreboard says they're going your way, even though the scoreboard says they're going your way. So even though we're up 7-8-9 in a drop from the field, got to figure out a way to score buckets, not just at the free throw line. We'll see what happens with the transfers and the NBA pro declarations, but it was a great year, Final Four run. They'll get to put the banner up in Cameron, but definitely had higher hopes for this year. It would have been cool. Again, always one shining moment's always great, always tears for me, but it's always extra special when it's your team at the end of one shining moment. That now Ian Eagles talk about. He did a great job on the call. So Masters this week. I told everybody won't be back at full 100% happiness until the Masters starts, and I turn on the TV. The par 3 contest is on, and the kids are running around, full bloom. Beautiful day out there at Augusta. Cannot put a smile on your face with the par 3 contest. I don't really have a pick on the Masters. It's always fun to watch. It's the official coronation of spring. And again, Sunday's going to be a blast watching that. Not only that, but again, talked about how great it is to have sports on in the middle of the day. It will be on in the middle of the day, Thursday and Friday on ESPN, then switching to CBS Saturday, Sunday. So looking forward to the Masters. Whoever ends up winning, it's going to be fun. Stinks there's no Tiger, but hopefully he gets healthy. Limited days, limited years on how many he has left to play. You can find me nowhere on the mic this week. I'll be back at LMU next week, but all paying bills gigs for this weekend. So anyway, thanks for listening. Check it out. Final Four for Duke. Great job. Looking forward to next year. I already griped to enough people about how that game went. Last thing, tired of extra COVID years. It had a little something to do with the reason Duke lost on Saturday, the fact that we're playing 25-year-olds, and we had all 18, 19-year-olds in the game besides Proctor. But looking forward to the end of 6th and 7th and 8th year seniors. But anyway, we'll see who Duke signs with the NIL money, the NIL bank they have through the transfer portal, see if they can pick up any extra recruits along the way, and see if anybody comes back. But anyway, have a great rest of your week. Have fun watching the Masters. Again, if you're not a big golf fan, it's one of the best sports to watch. My wife, who was not a sports fan before she met me, she says, golf and baseball, obviously watching basketball too, but golf she loves the drama, loves watching golf, especially on these majors with the Masters, U.S. Open, Open Championship, and PGA Championship. Just so much drama, so much. It's the best reality TV there is, as SVP says. So enjoy the Masters, enjoy your spring, and I'll talk to you next week. Thanks. In the rec room, by the way, Andrew's Rec Room. I had to change the name. I got to call it Andrew's Rec Room because there was some confusion. Thank you, Sarah, my sister-in-law. Anyway, have a great week.